Welcome, blockheads. This is Business on the Block, episode 67, Disney's epic move. On this week, we're going to dig in right now. We'll unpack two groundbreaking developments. This is shaking up digital business. First up, Disney and Epic are building the ultimate entertainment universe. Disney has taken a massive equity stake in Fortnite owner Epic Games. We're going to discuss how this partnership reshapes the future of gaming, entertainment, and yes, this word chops up again, the metaverse. When's the last time you heard that mentioned? In the second story, GoDaddy and Ethereum are marrying websites with blockchain. Find out how this collaboration moves the traditional web closer to the blockchain and why this has implications for the world of banking and finance. So we'll dissect this right now. I'm with my lovely co-host, Michelle Peterson-Clark.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
And our worst third half, Mike, is not with us yet. He's taking care of some business. May join, may not. We'll see. So
had a client urgency come up.
The purpose of Business on the Block as a podcast, our goal here is to dissect the business developments and reveal how this can change the future of digital business. Really, this is about what's happening in the world of tech, tech and entertainment, and how it connects to from big business down to small, and how you can use the tools that we'll be discussing to build your own business. Business on the Block focuses on the blockchainization of entertainment. I'm going to take us to story number one, and this is coming to us courtesy of Polygon.com. Disney takes $1.5 billion equity stake in Fortnite owner Epic Games. Disney's partnered with Epic to build the, quote, entertainment universe with Fortnite. Players will engage with characters from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar, and of course, Fortnite. Fans can create their own stories, share content, shop. And so this establishes Epic as the de facto leader now in the metaverse market. Fortnite, of course, will become the premier platform for virtual world building. So there's a lot of implications here. These are big heavyweight companies, and 1.5 billion is not a small sum. For commentary first, Michelle, as the content marketing queen, what are your thoughts on this Disney Epic tie-up?
This could be the thing that gets me into the metaverse. I'm so excited about this.
You?
I mean, who doesn't love Disney? I mean, a kid of the 60s and the 70s when it, even before the Star Wars stuff all came out, towards the end of the 70s it did, but I just love Disney stuff. And this is an incredible thing. Bad luck Mike's not here because we can't really actually put the pictures up, but there's some pictures in the article if you scroll through and have a look how the worlds are going to be interconnected and how they perceive that they're going to look, and it looks absolutely fabulous. And we've got the Star Wars, the Star Wars island, I think, is already in Fortnite with the Death Star on it, but it's going to be interconnected with what looks to me like a monorail, which if you've been to Disneyland, you go around Disneyland on the monorail, which is fantastic. There's even a Disney cruise, Mark. Like, you can go on a cruise on this, which is fantastic. I think one of the things that is sensible from a marketing perspective and from like a media play, digital media revolution perspective is this opens up to Disney a group of players who might not necessarily be playing their games or visiting theme parks or going on Disney cruises, in fact. So what it does, I think, is it gives those that are in Fortnite already, and we know there's a lot of them. We know that Epic over the years have made so much money from this game, like billions of dollars from this game. And, we've talked on the show before about, stars having concerts in there. I think it was Rihanna that did a concert in in Fortnite, and like the servers crash almost with the people trying to get to the island and get in to see her doing this concert. So what this is it's like every Disney ride, every Disney character, every, we've got Marvel, we've got Lucasfilms, we've got the film studios. Like you've got all of this where you can go and play and be in it. I imagine that you will be able to create your own movies in the studio. You'll be able to, do the rides, hop on the monorail, go on a cruise vacation with your family. All of that stuff. It really extends and broadens to a much wider audience. Like there's people like me, like I am not interested in jumping up and down and using an axe and creating a ladder and killing people or whatever. That stuff, not there for me.
This is
and there's
Minecraft
a lot of people.
front.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who would be like, oh yeah, I'll go on a Disney cruise in the metaverse because I can't afford one in real life. But I bet you I can afford to do one in the metaverse. So there's all of that stuff. And I think that this is probably one of the smartest things that Disney's done in a long time. Hey, Mike.
You guys start without me? You don't tell me?
We were trying to get it done before you showed up.
I sent you a message.
I'm kidding. What's going on?
We're talking about Disney and
we just started, Mike.
Yeah.
So the basic outline is Disney's taking a $1.5 billion equity stake in Fortnite owner Epic.
Oh, no.
What a perfect time.
No.
So I've laid out the story.
I love it.
Michelle's made two great points. Number one, there's the business angle of it, of how the companies are going to benefit from it, which I'll dig into also. But also, she actually led with, I believe this might be the thing that gets me, meaning Michelle, into the metaverse. So, Mike, what's your thoughts around, is this another flash in the pan fluff, or is this actually a legit foray into the metaverse? Disney and Epic are gigantic companies.
They're massive. And I think this just adds to the conglomerate of whatever Disney's trying to build. Now, they're failing in some areas and they're potentially expanding in others. So the sports arena is a good example of, I guess, their latest attempt to try to corner in a specific targeted audience. They were successful with the Star Wars group in their acquisition there. Then they moved into ESPN. So I feel like, regardless on the business side of things and really what direction they go with, if they're going to start targeting gamers, they better realize that they're a much different audience than anybody else that they've actually interacted with. And, if gamers have shown anything over the years, if it doesn't work in their benefit, they have no problem shutting you down. They don't care how big you are, how small you are. They took on Wall Street and had success with it. So Disney messes around, they'll find out quick, a la GameStop.
The old F around and find out.
But I don't know. My take's a little bit different to that, because I think that there'll be some for those people, but I think that they're thinking about who else can we bring into this space. Like, I am not a gamer at all, but I'm like, oh, this looks really good. And if I tried it out and it was really good when I tried out, then I'm likely to keep doing it. And maybe it's not necessarily 50-year-old women like me, but a
26.
whole 56, a
26.
whole generation of women, children, no, maybe not, maybe 30-somethings who aren't necessarily gaming, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds who are not gaming currently, but have grown up with Disney and love it and have gone, oh, this looks good. I mean, look at if you can get the picture up to show people, that would be really good of what Michelle, they're saying the verse is going to look like. You're
talking about the cross-pollination of bringing in a whole new genre of people, a la Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. You're exposing people that normally wouldn't be into the gaming world, middle-aged women, but they're interested in Disney.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to you can't tell me that when you're in this metaverse and you have to do a particular challenge and you get 20% off of a Disney Plus subscription for a year, or a free upgrade at the hotel if you stay in Disney parks because you've done something or done a challenge or whatever. You can't tell me that there are not people interested in that kind of stuff.
So this is not my planned comments, but Walt Disney, the man, I'm a huge fan of and have studied him as a business guy, said that when he first built these parks, because remember, he was a Hollywood movie maker beforehand, he wanted to create a world that he could exist inside of with his children and that kids and adults could enjoy together. He literally described the metaverse before it even existed as a concept. So
have you
yes.
been to Disney World?
Me?
Yeah.
Like more times than I care to count.
Okay. Outside of Disney World, there's a town called Celebration.
I've been there too.
Okay.
Great bakery.
Great bakery, but I did an event there one year and I didn't know what to expect when I rolled into town. First of all, I think the town was built in like 1996
to house all the people that worked in Disney.
It houses all the people that work in Disney, but the entire town is replicated off of Walt Disney's hometown as a kid, right? So like you roll into town, the first thing you see is a gas station. There's a guy in a white jumpsuit and a hat pumping someone's gas, waving at you as you came into town. Like it's that kind of feel to it.
It's not freaky at all.
No, it's not. But okay, so let's talk about, let's expand on the fact that, okay, the VR experience could lead to real world benefits. Would it replace those benefits though? I mean, if you can experience everything Walt Disney, sitting on your couch with a pair of goggles on, are you more inclined to go to visit it in real life or not?
I disagree. You are not. I am going to go visit it in IRL. Is still IRL, and this is just going to capture the people that weren't going to go there IRL.
Okay. Well, again, I think the bigger benefit with this particular acquisition is the incorporation of everything Marvel, everything sports, live streaming, all that stuff that Disney has acquired over the years. If they can somehow integrate it into this experience, forget about the gaming side of it for a second, but just the user experience from the VR, AR world. I mean, do you see a potential play with Apple in their new little toy?
And that's where I was going to go. My 3 points were on the gaming side of it. This is Disney's biggest foray into gaming. If anyone remembers Disney Infinity, you guys remember this? Basically, they tried to mimic.
Have it in a box at home.
Mike, do you remember Skylanders, where you would have a fake toy that you could play the character in this virtual world on the screen? That was I think it was Activision.
Yes.
And Disney mimics this with Infinity. Anyway, the point is Disney has been trying to create a world. They've been trying to create what Epic has already done, and now they can just bring their IP into it. So number 2 is they are moving with IP that people know, like, and trust into a very proven metaverse alternate reality world. So I think that what's been lacking, and the reason no one goes to the metaverse today, there's nothing to do there. Why would I go there? The answer is because now I can talk to Spider-Man, or now I can go hang out and fly with Han Solo in the Millennium Falcon. That's a different story. So now you're getting the Ready Player One type stuff. And finally,
so Mike, if you remember, we've talked before about Rihanna having a concert in Fortnite and how, almost the service crashed because people were trying to get in. So you imagine if in ESPN Arena in the metaverse, they had 2 boxers do a title fight, or, like an NFL game gets simulcast in it, that kind of stuff. I think that's where they could go and attract a whole new group of people, or bring over the people who are playing something else in Fortnite somewhere else.
Well, the good news is that they're not going to be the first ones to do this. So the infrastructure is already built for that, right? There's 360 cameras already in these arenas. You can actually go into particular applications using the Oculus and sit down and watch a basketball game like you're in there. It's not as crisp. I mean, the quality sucks. You can get a headache by watching, but it feels like you're in the arena.
But Mike, you can't create the game. When I'm in the arena with the Oculus on, is not the same as if me going and getting in the Avengers Quinjet with Captain America, and we're going to go fly to.
Look, again, they can bring additional value to it, but the foundation is already in place, is my point, right? So like there's golf games, for example, that you can play in VR, and you can play a particular course, let's say St. Andrews, and you can play against a golfer that has already played St. Andrews, and all of his data is uploaded into the system. So whatever shots he does on the first hole, you have to either beat or match that. So, I mean, it feels like you're playing against somebody like that who's already, like, you're already immersing yourself into the world, is the point I'm trying to make. So the technology exists. It's only going to get better. I mean, look, we talked about video games a while ago. This reminds me of all of the evolution that Nintendo put forth that PlayStation and Xbox have perfected. all the motion, all the graphics, all the different bells and whistles that video games worked. I mean, Nintendo was always a pioneer there.
I don't doubt that, and I agree with you. But Mario and Sonic don't have the same world as this is an expansive world. When I can involve myself with Avatar and like all the Indiana Jones could show up. Like the Disney owns enough interesting characters that makes this juicy. And I'm not saying I'm not taking away from it. For Pokemon was well ahead of their time. Nintendo has really been the forerunner of all of this. I agree with you.
Well, I mean, again, the assets are what Disney holds, to its advantage here. If you don't like sports, you can play with Marvel. If you don't like Marvel, you can play with, Harry Potter, whatever it is.
I can go replay the Super Bowl game and San Francisco can win. Right? I'm not even being funny. The 2 points I wanted to make. Number one, I was sharing this news when I was prepping for the podcast a couple days ago with my 15-year-old son is like, oh, that's awful. I hate that concept. And I said, why? And he said, because it's probably going to work. And I said, why would you think it? He goes, those are such big companies and those are all going to, he's like, everything fits. And I was like, it was an interesting perspective. But more interestingly for me, and Michelle, maybe
why did he hate that?
Because this is the adults ruining the kids' world. Last thing he wants is a 50-something-year-old grandmother
dad
showing up in his Star Wars world when they're hunting bounty hunters. Anyway, this takes Disney squarely into the creator economy in the terms of it's user generated. What I bring, I might have a great storylines that I've written that I want to go gather up the Avengers and we're going to go do this adventure thing. Like that's going to happen now. That is creator economy stuff where I can record it and chop content out of it and I can make things happen with my own imagination. Disney has not been in that world yet. All these creators that are on YouTube complaining about the platforms that don't pay them. I don't know how this plays out, but there's an avenue for money here.
What does this do for the onboarding processes? I mean, let's talk about the technology, being as the fact that we are a technological show. What does this do for the masses as far as bringing people onboarding? Are they going to, basically require them to hold this hardware, therefore have people go out and buy either VR, AR set?
Not yet.
If they start issuing tokens on chain, is that going to be more of a mass adoption?
I think too much friction at the outset. Right now, it's get on a browser like you always did, but instead of just going to your video game, you can go into this world.
But honestly, is this the answer that some of this technology has been waiting for, where a company like this breaks in and has the potential to expand in some of these other technological areas that we discuss here week after week?
Yes, I think that initially it's just going to be an interactive on the web browser like you have, but eventually you're going to have your Fortnite room in your basement that you put your machine on and you go into it. The holodeck.
And I think too, there's like you can imagine on Disney Plus, when you're when you're in between shows or looking for shows, there'll be little video clips playing of this is what you can do in the metaverse. You just watched, Pokemon. Would you like to come and play with Pokemon in the metaverse? This is what you do. And they'll run how-to things. I think that this is a long tail marketing play. This is not, let's set this up and see how it goes for the next 2 years. This is the next 20 years. This is about getting people into this world, and then they do things in it, and then they go, I want to go and do this in real life, and then they can go to the parks or they can go on a Disney cruise. That is what, if they're smart, that's what they should be thinking about.
I'm looking at this graphic on screen, which is amazing, by the way. And the things that are traveling around the monorail connecting these lands are X-Wing fighters and TIE fighters.
X-Wing fighters. Yes.
And I'm already interested in that for that reason alone. Like they're going to get people. Back in the day, for those Marvel comic nerds like me, if you ever read the X-Men comics, the characters in the comic would train in the Danger Room, which was the basement of the mansion where they lived. And it was basically the holodeck from Star Trek. Virtual reality, bad guys, and they would do their thing. That's where I think we're heading to some version of that. Now, we're a generation away. But Disney, if anyone's going to build this, has the capability, the IP, the money, and honestly, the DNA. And Fortnite has proven it works already. They've partnered with how many companies to do some? How many times has the island been reinvented with a new company sponsoring?
Well,
Oh my God, it's exploded. No.
That was been damaged. What?
that was going to be my follow-up question to your comments, because like, where do advertisers and potential additional revenue streams fit into this model?
Oh my gosh, there's a billboard on the side of the monorail as I pass by. Have a Coke and a smile.
I don't disagree for brand placement, but where can the conversion factor fit in? And I think that, again, the answer lies within the technology that, potentially could arise, and, a little bit more on the mass scales from this, where whatever you participate within these worlds generate reward tokens in some capacity. It doesn't need to be Web3 or blockchain or anything like that, but these reward tokens can therefore be redeemed at your local McDonald's, right? So everything.
Yes.
So all of those pieces encourage interaction, encourage user engagement. But from Disney's perspective, it also opens up a whole new Pandora's box of advertisement billboard placements that you can go out and sell.
But you're thinking direct monetization, and that's the mistake that all these Wall Street clowns that I used to work with used to make. Brand is what this builds. And I'll give you things. The monetization comes indirectly from brand sponsorship deals. So for example, I go into the metaverse of whatever Disney's world here, and I party with the Avengers, and I can then take a situation. Disney has partnered with, I don't know, there's an Avengers event going on that I get a discount to, but Disney actually gets 20% of the ticket sales. It has nothing to do with the actual metaverse that's going on Fortnite. My point is, you would tie in a brand promotion or another external event that you get access to, NFTs, whatever, but it's going to be indirect backdoor. You're not going to charge the people using it. The reason social media works.
No, you reward them. In fact, it's the opposite. You reward them.
Yes.
So if you're playing around in the Nightmare Before Christmas and you earn whatever that game is, you get tokens that can be redeemed at Party City for your Halloween costume.
Bingo. You're not going to pay to use Facebook.
No, but Party City is paying. Party City is paying Disney for the opportunity to put their name on that. That's what I mean by additional revenue.
So now my Wall Street hat comes on. Hold on a second. Here comes the trading desk at Disney in the back office in Orlando, or wherever the hell they're running for Anaheim, I guess. All right, Coke and Pepsi both want to be the sponsoring soda for the Star Wars land. Guess which one we're going to go with? It's a price war.
Well, it's a price war, but again, I think they also have multiple channels where they can divvy up, non-exclusive rights to specific brands such as Coke or Pepsi. So Coke could take Marvel, Pepsi could take ESPN.
But you're talking the real estate.
What's the one that is in the parks and they take the opposite one into the metaverse? So then they get both.
Right. There's a giant billboard on the center castle when you first walk in the park, and it says whatever they want it to say. Whoever it's just like selling the rights to your stadium.
Yeah.
There's huge money here, Mike, and it's not going to be from charging directly. There's no monetization per se that way. It's just creating. This is the magnetic hub that will get people like normal folks to check it out.
The long tail to all this is buying Lego in real life. It is subscribing to Disney Plus in real life. It's going to the parks in real life. That should be, and I think is the long tail of what this will be.
I've got two ideas off the top of my head real fast. Sorry, Mike. There's the guest island where I've just come back from any Disney experience, a cruise, a park visit, and I now have access for 30 days to the park online that only the people that have just recently been there can share experiences. Or I'm going to go to Disney's experience, whatever, in real life. And there's the island that prepares me for it, that I go there and hang out with the people that are going to be on the cruise with me in avatar form. Like, there's all kinds of ways to play this.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. You're not charging the user for that experience. Now, like, you got to think about, like, I use sports as a reference because it's nothing different, right? I mean, in a way, you have your own metaverse when you watch a sports game on TV, and you're encouraged to go to a game later to experience it in real life. Same concept. But in the financial side of that business, the money doesn't come from you going to a game. The money comes from the TV deals and the radio deals and the advertisement deals. And that's really where the money play for Disney is in a scenario like this. So they don't need to charge people to go in. In fact, they want to encourage more participation so that they could jack the price up on some of those bigger deals.
One other business angle on this is that Fortnite actually has a creator program. You can earn money by creating content for Fortnite right now, unrelated to this. So this is a way for them to fund the creator program, if you will, for better creativity out of bigger, when Mr. Beast gets involved and starts helping you out, it's going to be better. You can pay for guys like that if you got a piece of Disney's ticket sales. Fortnite now gets into bed with Disney, and there's bigger money sloshing around to drive bigger creativity.
Well, we also talk about collaboration efforts that are respectful within the technologies too. This is a phenomenal opportunity for that to occur as well. I mean, any kind of skins that you can place on Spider-Man, whether it's a Yankee jersey or a Red Sox jersey, these are real possibilities that are now available with redemption of some kind of loyalty system that is incorporated within the Disneyland dollars within this metaverse. And
Right.
again, I think that the collaboration effort, the minute that blockchain becomes more relevant, or somebody like this builds some tokenized system that people in an onboarding process do not have a barrier to, you're going to start seeing more of those collaboration efforts come around full circle, especially when they involve IRL type of benefits. So if you have, whatever token in this system, you can redeem it at Party City, or option B, you can go down to Taco Bell and get a free taco.
Right.
There's multiple collaboration efforts that come within the surface as well.
Final thoughts,
So
Michelle?
while we were talking, I Googled how many people are current Fortnite players, users. So live right now, right this second, 2.3 million people are playing Fortnite now.
What's the capacity of a
Overall
Disney park?
The last 30 days, 237,000 million people played in the last 30 days on Fortnite.
To put that in perspective, the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, which is quite large, holds 100,000 people at a time. The scale of what they can do, right?
Even if they got 10% of those gamers and pissed off the other 90%, 10% of those gamers expands Disney's pool of interested people in a new situation.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. Is the plan to team up with Fortnite, or is it just to team up with Epic Games that could potentially incorporate it into Fortnite in some way? Like, are they trying to build an audience that's separate from Fortnite, or leverage the existing one?
Wait, rephrase that. I'm sorry, I was chatting here.
So the play here with Disney, is it to partner with Fortnite specifically, or Epic Games that could potentially build an alternative Fortnite that's more relative to Disney?
So Epic is the company, right? Fortnite's the product. They're partnering with Epic officially, but the intent, to answer your question, is around Fortnite. They want to, way Fortnite has been the platform that people have gone into, right? That's where all the people, the gaming is happening. Disney wants to expand that. So they're going to have a way that you can build and access, let's say, it'll be both, Mike. You can access a virtual world through Fortnite into a Disney thing.
Now I understand your son's frustration.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So you'll be in the battle bus.
Yeah.
You'll be in the battle bus and you'll jump out and you'll go to Star Wars Island, or you'll go to ESPN, or you'll go to the cruise or whatever. That, I would imagine that's how it would work. They wouldn't change the front end, because that would be stupid.
When you're in the battle bus, you can lock and load your ammo with your grandmother and your aunt next to you.
Or they could just be going to, Fluffball Island somewhere. I mean, I don't know, but I understand, the comment that you relayed from your son, because, now it's basically an engulf. It's a devouring of that particular world.
He was very visceral reaction, and it surprised me. I was like, this sounds cool. He's like, not at all. Which means he goes, it's going to work, and I don't want that.
But again, that could potentially pose a problem if they're going to develop Fortnite as an incorporation here versus building it separate.
I'm going to go down a different road, but I'll answer this. I agree with you. Every social media platform outgrows its users, because nobody wants to be on this cool platform with their big brother or sister. So
Correct.
Facebook is now the old part.
Or their mom or dad.
Or their mom or dad. Right. When the grandmothers came onto Facebook, because the pictures of the kids were on there, all the kids were like, I'm on the Instagram. Now that Instagram has become the business platform, they're like, I'm on the Twitch. And this generational changeover, let's call it, of these platforms will happen now in a metaverse sense. It's the new You're going to start to see this generational metaverse evolution. So Disney will get in there and they will get the grandmothers and it's going to work. And then all of a sudden the kids are not going to want to be there.
Hang on. I'm going to push back on that for briefly, because while I don't disagree that these gaming systems have evolved into more glorified social media platforms, there's still a gaming component of this, right? And I don't care how old you are, playing your kid in Madden is still everybody's dream, right? And I don't think any kid outgrows that. Maybe there's certain games that, your parents just don't want to learn and they'll never be as good as you. But if you evolve with the systems over the years, I'm not going to break out my PlayStation 2 and play it with my kids when there's PlayStation 5 that's available. Right. But the point is that, the gaming side of it versus the social side of it they have to remain independent in some way. And one, you can incorporate directly and share that experience and generationally. And the other, you're right, they do outgrow that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Final comments on this side. Do you want to get to the next story? Michelle, any other thoughts?
We've had so many comments and things in the chat for the Bolt chat of, some worried about what Disney are going to do, what they're not going to do. Spanners said that, is this the first step towards Disney buying Fortnite Epic?
These things tend to happen that way, Spanner. I'm not saying it will, but this is, by the way, Disney knows that when they take a big equity stake. They know that. So this is the typical Wall Street move. You buy a piece of the guy that's going to put you out of business to see if he starts to put you out of business, and then you buy him.
And if GameStop taught us anything, be very careful when you play in this arena.
Michelle,
interestingly, our son doesn't really play Fortnite anymore. He's played a little tiny bit recently because other friends have gotten into it, but he used to be a big Fortnite person, much to our disgust. But when he saw this, he went, hey, maybe I should get back into Fortnite.
Disney never cracked the gamer market. They've tried, and they've never gotten it.
This might be it.
Right.
From a console perspective or from a game perspective?
From loyalty of the gamer to Disney doesn't exist.
Well, they acquired it. Sports brands in gaming and Marvel are huge.
I agree, but if you look at most gamers, everyone plays Minecraft, right? We can agree that that's pretty much the universal sandbox game. Nobody cares that Microsoft owns it. And Microsoft, for the most part, left it alone. They've made some updates that people don't like about the
You don't
API.
really know that they own it, do you?
They're not monetizing it in that regard. However, they sit on it because when the time comes, they'll copy whatever Disney's doing. But my point is, Disney now has their Minecraft, if you will. And they don't own it outright. It's not the same, but they're in the game now. Kind of like when I would equate when Amazon took a piece of Anthropic to get into the ChatGPT LLM race. It's the same concept. All right. Taking us to story number 2. This is coming off of CoinDesk. GoDaddy and Ethereum connect domain names to crypto wallets. This sounds confusing, but I'll break this down. So Ethereum name service is partnering with GoDaddy to allow crypto wallet addresses to be used as a website. So where you would buy your crypto can be your website. This is basically Web3 adoption. It signals a renewed interest in connecting traditional web to the blockchain. For those who don't know, GoDaddy is the largest internet domain registry. So you want a new website, you can get the .com, but now you can get the basically .crypto thing. And you can buy and sell through that, which is interesting. So before we dig into it, Mike, what are your thoughts on this? Having run several projects, Ethereum included, you can lead the conversation.
So this particular topic was brought up, I want to say 2.5 years ago now, when the whole DNS concept really was hot. And I don't want to call it the .com boom, but it was very similar, where people are just going out and scooping up everything they possibly could on the DNS front. So there's value in it. And a common question that surfaced all the time was, are we able to use this as a generic website? And the answer was always no. Well, what the hell was the purpose of it yet? I mean, is it just, so I don't have an OX digital wallet name? And the thought originally behind it was, so if you're on payroll, or if you're in a company where, transactions are conducted, people can easily find you rather than knowing your OX, your 0x digital wallet address number. And that was the primary purpose of it. But then they started to expand. Okay, well, you're calling this a domain name. Why can't I link a service provider to this domain and have that be the EN or the URL? And I think this is the route that they kind of took with it. They listened to that demand. Is GoDaddy going to help? They will. A lot of people use GoDaddy as their go-to source for domain registration as it is. I don't think it'll help with any kind of hosting or with getting anything on blockchain relative, but I think that this is going to create a different path that people and businesses need to start exploring and securing now that GoDaddy's involved.
Why does it matter, Mike? Why does it matter to an average business that I can use my crypto wallet as an email? I'm sorry, as a website.
Well, it creates a uniform sense of logging in. So one of the main purposes of a digital wallet is that I don't need a username and password to jump from platform to platform, business to business. This helps seed that benefit. And I think that as time progresses and as blockchain becomes a little bit more relevant, these channels open up an enormous possibility for everything that we discuss here with respect to collaboration and rewards and loyalty platforms. You can tokenize things. You can tokenize engagement. You can build collaborations with the new metaverse and Disney. There's a million different things that you can kind of put forth. But overall, it's important to secure at least the domain name, because once it's taken, there's only one of them.
Right. I think this gets at the whole concept of value transfer, which is the origin of crypto in the first place. Michelle, what's your thoughts around this? Is this just some rando story, or is there implications here?
I think that it's likely to be what will happen once the blockchain Web3, universe integrates properly into what we would now call normal land. Taking Disney metaphors into the next story. One of the interesting things in this article is that that GoDaddy and ENS are actually in a lawsuit at the moment over the eth.link extensions. Because you can get .xyz and you can get .com and all of those OS and whatever. IO, sorry. But like the story says that you can still be having a disagreement but be friends in another way. I'm not quite sure about that, but it would seem that whichever departments were the ones organising this aren't the ones suing over the other thing. Ultimately, I think that they'll come together in some agreement around all of these things. It will mean an easier time, I think, for people who do want to use their wallets as their address for their website and things like that. I mean, it's going to take a long time before people adopt this, I think.
I'm going to pull the camera back and shine a light on the fact that it's a wallet. It's a wallet is where you hold your money. So this is touching on the world of commerce, banking, the transfer of value. All the things that we've learned from cryptocurrency are that we don't actually need banks and that they are in the middle of the process. And that's why DeFi hates that. The reason I bring that up is because this becomes a new way of quote unquote buying things ultimately down the road. And I can see guys like Elon Musk and Twitter X platform leveraging this type of a tech or approach, if you will. My point is there's going to be a pushback from the banking industry. You've now got a problem from the regulatory perspective of if GoDaddy can become a de facto value transfer point, it's got to be regulated like a bank. And it's not. It's a website, provider. So my point is this really muddies the waters for how banking could potentially happen. And
I think that's only one use case, man.
Keep going.
Okay, so a digital wallet, I mean, theoretically, it shouldn't be called a digital wallet, but it's just linked to that because there's been financial transactions associated with it. But the transactions that are available utilizing a DNS name do not necessarily need to revolve around finance.
Yes. So this is back to our age-old discussion, Mike, you and I, between what you can do and what the government wants you to do.
Well, is it a currency or is it like an asset, right? Like, is it a stock, a share, or a security? Look, the reality is with respect to That's the best answer for it. Believe it or not, it is a key. It is an
Michelle is
access key.
referencing
It is
an
a
earlier-
storage facility.
There have been companies, for those who don't know, who got in trouble for calling it shares when really so now they call it keys. But these are basically ways to convey value. Keep going, Mike.
Yeah, but I mean, so it's a gateway to access information that's stored in this particular code, right?
And
That's
paper
essentially
things.
what the wallet is. So nothing different from what GoDaddy does currently with hosting a website. You know, there's information that's stored within the development software and the domain registration of a particular website. And when a user goes there, it unlocks that particular information and showcases it. In some cases, it's user engaging. Sometimes it's informational. I'm getting a little technical, but the domain name, the DNS name, is no different from that. It's just a means to access specific channels that are stored within that particular wallet.
All right, I'm going to highlight 3 platforms: WeChat, Twitter, X, and GoDaddy now are all enabling ways to use platforms to convey value back and forth. I'm not going to call it money, and I'm not going to say currency. I'm going to say I can get things and give things through these platforms. They're all looking into how to do it.
And you can do that. Guess what? You can do that all utilizing your same credentials to log into each respective platform. And I think that's the true value
on each platform.
Exactly.
But none of this is happening inside the banking system. And when PayPal and Venmo first popped up, they were quickly corralled in as part of the credit card world. They're not. I'm talking from a regulatory perspective. They're not credit cards. They're SaaS companies. However, they allow banking. And so you're going to have this interesting dynamic now where you're really getting far from Wall Street and the banking world, but yet this conveyance of value through non-cryptocurrency means now. I can pay for my GoDaddy website through GoDaddy's facility, technically.
Well, isn't that the point of crypto? Would you
100%.
argue that crypto in its general sense is part of the banking system?
And I think that the vision of what Satoshi had in mind is where this is headed in terms of conveying value outside the banking system. And this is going to be a regulatory problem for every government. Now, I'm 5 years out, but yes.
I don't disagree that they're going to obviously want their cut, number one. And number two, they're going to want to maintain control over it like they do now. But I don't know if that's the toothpaste that's out of the tube yet. And they just don't
harder
realize
and harder
it.
to control. You can control it when it's inside your world of finance. We're so far beyond.
You can control it when it's inside your borders, but we're talking about a global, accessible, in fact, universal accessible technology that allows you to do this on the far reaches of the shores of Miami versus the interior of Kentucky, right? So you can do this anywhere in the world and have the same result.
Michelle, those are places in the United States, just to keep you posted.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's far-reaching.
That's the whole world. It's true, though, Mike.
I'm just saying, like
you.
inside the country or outside the country.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, and I think there's going to be repercussions here for banking and finance that they're not even noticing this. By the way, this is not on their radar. You will not see this story on CNBC or even CNBC Crypto.
I don't know about that.
I'd be surprised if they are parsing the repercussions of this, because honestly, that's what this show does. These are new ways of doing business. These are new business models that we're watching emerge in real time, and it's really interesting. Big companies like Disney and what they're doing with Fortnite, Epic, will eventually need ways for people to pay for stuff. And if you own and control a metaverse, and you can help people convey and buy things through it, not going through the banking system and giving up your 10% or whatever they give up, like, you can see where this is going to be interesting.
Well, there still needs validators to make the transactions work. There's still a cost to the transaction.
But that's been proven to work. I mean, Bitcoin's been doing that for 15 years.
And there's still cost to those transactions.
Right. My point is, though, but the tech is proven.
Correct. And that's the whole point here, right? Like the technology, ever since we started talking about this many moons ago, I think we can argue, or at least agree, that there has been an advancement in the onboarding process to bring the user along for the ride. And all the while, the foundations of what the technology offers, while it has improved, it really hasn't changed. And the whole concept was designed to create a much more universal user experience across various platforms that allow for easy onboarding, easy transactions, easy accessibility to information, and a just different dynamic user experience that they control instead of having some server farm in the middle of some desert control.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think that we've seen a lot of how this has developed. What we were talking about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, like it's started to come. Frictionless onboarding isn't here yet, but it's now in sight. Right? It was a very complicated to set up a wallet and seed phrases as recently as a year ago. So, all right. The other thing I wanted to mention is that this in general has made me realize is a new issue. Same topic. Crypto in general and the metaverse, that all fell out of favor with the Web3 crypto winter meltdown. But when nobody was looking, there are big companies now doing things and new ways of onboarding. This is coming back into vogue now, but at the big business level. And we hadn't seen that previous. When companies like Avalanche and Polygon, and no one's ever heard of them, but they're doing really well, it's interesting. When companies like Disney and Epic Games, those are like traditional mainstream mom and pop America companies. So I really think that the crypto world, and I'm not pitching for crypto, we're not a crypto show here, but blockchain has proven itself as a business model, and people would do well to start to pay attention now to how can I do this inside of my business? Not at that level, of course, but the concept of paying and wallets, like it's time to start getting on the idea bus at least, so you don't get left behind.
Empires are built on ashes. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is no different from, I feel like I'm full of bumper stickers today.
He says on Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. With the lovely cross on your face, because you've been to mass this morning, Marc.
I have. And she did a good job. I always kind of judge if it's just a thumb smudge, then I'm kind of pissed for the day. It always is the thumb.
Jesus would want you to judge. Good work. All right.
Yes.
So the last story to wrap us up here was something Michelle brought to our attention. There's an interesting project going on in Prague in the EU that I was not aware of, actually, Michelle, and it's good eyes on you. That is a potential use case for NFTs, which, again, we're not an NFT show, but it was just an interesting way of looking at a new business model. Michelle, I'll let you lead this story. Tell us a little bit what's going on in Prague.
So some of you might know that I have an alter ego of the savvy travel historian, and my weekly newsletter last week was on Prague. And when I was doing my research on it, I noticed that the city of Prague, so the official government website, has an NFT option or an offering, and they call it NFT Bohemian Muse. And Mike, I've put the link in the private chat. There you go, good. And essentially what they've done is they're raising money and 100% of the money raised from the NFTs goes back into upkeep on the historical landmarks for Prague that Prague have. The Charles Bridge in Prague, which was started in 1357, or 1337 maybe. I can't remember. I haven't looked at it there now.
Don't worry. We're Americans.
Yeah.
We don't have anything.
That's the number of NFTs that they've created from it. So 1357. So there's 1,357 NFTs the year that the Charles Bridge was created. All of the money goes into the upkeep of historical landmarks. The utility that you get is you get behind the scenes tours in some of the historical monuments. You get access to rooms and places that you normally wouldn't get if you didn't own the NFT. So that's where they're doing two things. They're raising money for historical landscapes, and they're actually also giving you utility from owning them. And they call it Bohemian Muse because Prague was the historical capital of Bohemia in the old days. So so I just wanted to show people that was something that was really really interesting in my alter ego travels. And I thought it was great, and I loved it, and I wanted to share.
The reason it's caught my eye as well, Michelle, when you raised it is that this is an interesting way to raise money for preserving national landmarks, for cultural. This is the type of thing where most cities and governments have trouble getting money out of people for this. This is when they ask you for $1 to enter the museum. You now can broaden that, just like Disney with this metaverse thing, to the world and anyone who's ever traveled through there who might want to help support and get little perks. It's just a new business model is the point. It's not necessarily going to be a blockbuster gangway thing, but they're going to now have money they would not have had access to previous.
Yeah.
This comes at a time.
I think they need some money for marketing and stuff like that, because they haven't really sold very many of them. But I just think in terms of what they set it up for, what they're using the money for, and the utility they offer from it is really a lot of the stuff that we've talked about on many, many shows before over the last 18 months.
The reason I think this matters and why we're talking about it now, it's a perfect illustration of a use case. We've been doing that every week. Doesn't matter, except for this is the municipal government doing this. Right?
Yes, that's right.
It's not like two kids in their crypto babble out of some stock room. This is a pretty established, and by the way, old world European. This is as traditional as it gets, and they are recognizing that there's a way that they can build a monetary model here, and that is the point of this show. That the world of business is changing, right? This isn't just like because we want it to. A lot of literally old world places that would have never been doing this, but during the crypto winter, are now sticking their toe in the water. Big companies, old established governments. There's a new way to do business, and I don't think that the mainstream has recognized this yet. That's still an argument over blockchain and crypto and regulating. And like beyond that, outside the noise, this is the new forefront of how money's going to be made. Mike, comments before we wrap?
Well, I mean, on the surface, it definitely makes a lot of sense, and again, highlights everything you just discussed. I would still argue that it was two kids that built it, and they just sold it to the government. But
you and John,
nonetheless, they jumped on it, right? I mean, they took a chance for it, and it makes sense. It tells a good story. It's content that's out there. It could potentially lead to collaboration efforts. Like if Expedia did something like this for every city around the world, and you had the ability to collect, all the collective collection pieces of all these various landmarks, maybe they send you there. Like there's opportunity from a marketing and a brand perspective, but also, again, we keep harping on the collaboration side. There's immediate IRL benefits that, these can potentially pose. I mean, I remember as a kid, people used to walk from business to business with a notebook. And they used to basically take your business, $50 a week or whatever it was. They would put your name on a business and they would drop off the same flyers at all those businesses, right? So you walk into the hair salon and you pick up a flyer and it's got 49 other businesses that are around the area that, work in conjunction with that. Well, this is no different, right? I mean, if you hold this NFT, if you're at the airport, maybe it gets you a free taxi ride to your hotel. And, maybe all that subsidized by the government in some program that they have set up. But the point is that you can build a collaboration piece that keeps the ownership of the asset, in this case, a digital token, within the collector and the user, and then benefits the utility upon arrival. And everybody wins. There's a brand awareness, there's a marketing play. And again, there's different pieces that add value behind the token itself.
And when Prague is doing this, what do you think that's going to happen in Hamburg or Zurich or Miami? Like this is going to be copied if it works.
I'm very disappointed in Abu Dhabi not doing this first.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do it quickly, because again, this is coming at a time of recession when companies and countries are all pulling back on the money. There's a whole new revenue stream.
I will make a generative collection of washing machines for them.
All right. I'm going to let everyone know that we're here every Wednesday. We come to you live, YouTube, LinkedIn. Actually, today we're going out over Bolt. Of course, as always, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, Mike. You probably didn't know that. So we're taking a little sampling here. We'll be back on Wednesday next week, 9:30 Eastern time. Michelle, that's 2:30 your time? Am I getting that right?
2:30 UTC. Yep.
Great. So it's Business on the Block. This is episode 67. And our goal, again, is to help you guys understand just what's happening in business. We're not here to sell you anything. This is not a pitch or a webinar. We believe there's not a business-focused conversation around the evolution of blockchain and how it's changing business. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.